So good day, good day. It is in fact Boxing Day, December 26, 2025. And of course, this is Bossman Teaching speaking. As you would realize, black bucket hat, black tie, right? So, question is, why? Why? So, I wanted to be a little bit more deliberate on what this page is about, right? Just so that everybody could know. So this is a pirate episode. So the idea behind pirate is that it stands for post it right away to everyone, right? So let's hope I can honor that commitment, right? Let's hope I can do that. So the purpose of Bossman Teaching. Now, before it was a little bit more self-centered, self-serving, selfish, right? It was more about advertising my, my ability to teach mathematics and, so it was sort of a two-in-one, right? I used to call it the episodes two birds, one stone, right? And the idea behind it was that I would do an example of a math question and then invite you to come to class, right? That's how it used to be. But the rebranding of this page now has a renewed focus. In fact, the name that I had before I changed it to Bossman Teaching, I brought it back. The name was called First Person Tutor. And now it is back, right? So I am doing this to inform everybody, right? Including myself, so that I can be consistent and I can correctly compartmentalize. So this is where I am pretty much an advocate for teachers, right? I'm an advocate for teachers and I provide support for teachers anywhere in the world, really. So if you're in the Caribbean, who feels it knows. I'm a teacher, so I know. I know what you're going through. I know what every teacher is going through in the US, in the UK, anywhere in the world, right? So therefore, I'm going to be, you can call this a safe space for having a discussion about what teachers face on a daily basis, right? So that's what this space is for. But in addition to that, we're not just going to talk about the problem, we're going to have solutions as well, right? So we're going to discuss the problem and the solution, right? And I can provide that solution. So just putting that out there. Now, at the risk of having to label this video as product placement, right? This is the sort of thing that can be a solution to a lot of teachers. Building your own page, building your own brand, because there's nothing worse than realizing it's not how little you're valued, but rather how little they care about your well-being overall. And you have to love you more than they do. And that's just the reality of it. I've said this in a lot of the posts that I've made on my Zoom recordings, right? You'll notice the difference, right? I'm in front of a whiteboard. It's a 16:9 video as opposed to this, right? And I echoed a lot of sentiments there where there are two friends of mine, both of them teachers, both of them serve well over 20 years in teaching. And after them passing away, they were forgotten in about, let's say, 365 plus 365. In approximately 730 days, they were forgotten. It took about 2 years for them to be forgotten, right? So, you look at these things and you say, yeah, I don't know. And it's not that it's not the profession for you, but this is what you have to realize. You cannot give your all to it. Give enough that you still have enough for yourself, right? You have to do that, because they don't care if they run you into the ground. They don't care. So you have to care. And that's why I am here, so that we can talk about all the things that you can do, and I can help you with getting those things done. All right. And again, I'm a practice what I preach kind of guy. So I'm not gonna say it and not deliver, right? But more importantly, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Any skill that you have, explore those skills. It doesn't matter what those skills are, explore them. Yeah. And yes, I know the whole idea of being a content creator, it's daunting, it's jarring, it's a lot of work. But it's worth it if in the end you can support your family. Because there's nothing worse than spending all of your time in one profession thinking that you can feed your family with that, and you can't. Realistically, you can't. Now, when I switch to this tie, it would be first person tutor, right? So yeah, I'm doing my best to compartmentalize. So once you see this tie, then I'll be talking about all the different things that I do as a teacher, which I am. Again, remember what I said before about not being shy. Just because I'm saying it to you doesn't mean I'm not talking to me. Because there are times when I hold back on a lot. I'm not showcasing all of my skills. I'm not, doing everything I could possibly do. You understand? Some of the times we hold back because there's this fear that nobody's going to care about what we're doing. And, artists go through it. They have this really amazing song, and they just put it on the shelf and they say, nobody cares about this. No. And they have friends who will tell them, please publish this, post this, stop doubting yourself, right? And that's that's the whole point of this page, right? It's a way to encourage a teacher, to remind them that, look, you're more than just what you do in front of your students. You're more than that, right? And so it's important that you utilize all your skills. Yeah, don't hold back. And again, while I'm saying this to you, I'm saying this to me. So as first person tutor, you will notice the videos that I'll have will be about, let me show you better than I can tell you actually. So a lot of the videos on first person tutor will be about chess. It will also be about solving Rubik's Cube. Hopefully I'll learn how to do the CFOP and actually show you how to do that. But I'm not so inhuman that I can do the super speed cubing. But in any case, I know how to solve one of these at least. So we'll go through those steps, right? So again, and there's also the idea of faceless content. Yeah, the idea of faceless content. So the utility of that is pretty straightforward, right? You have the flexibility of doing a video like this, or you can just utilize your voice without showing your face, right? That's possible too, right? I mean, do I have to show you again? Oh, look at that. Look at that. Yeah, so again, don't be shy. Use all of your skills. Use all of your skills. Use them. I mean, if you want to go and think of an art form where this is necessary, mixed martial arts. There's no point in you just being a boxer or just being a kickboxer or just being a grappler. You have to use all your skills. And some of the time, some people go in and they think that, oh, I can just go in and throw hands and I want to knock people out. And some of those people have been like quite decorated in the art form of grappling. But because they fell in love with the power of, throwing the hooks and crosses and, they fell in love with boxing. So they forgot what brought them to the dance. And the point that I'm making is, if you're a teacher, you have talents, you have skills, utilize them. Utilize them. Because what do you have to lose? At some point you're going to have to drop your pride. Yeah, you're going to have to drop your pride and say, you know what? I can bake. Let's bake. I can cook. Let's cook. There's so many TikTok pages where all they do is cook. Alright, so anyway, you see the irony? I'm saying this to you as first person tutor who's not supposed to be the advocate for the teacher. This is supposed to be the person that provides support for students, right? So this is where I teach reading. This is where I teach chess. This is where I teach PEP as well, mathematics in CSEC, right? Providing SBA support as well. So again, this is me saying that I was silly enough to think that, I could just teach mathematics. And a lot of people need mathematics teachers. But no. You have to be more than that. You have to be more than that. So I teach reading. I teach PEP, the 4 subjects in PEP, right? So that's really 1 plus 4, that's 5, right? So teach reading, teach PEP, teach chess, CSEC mathematics. Go hard and done. Go all out. Yeah, that's the message there. All right, so I'll go laugh. I'll go tell you why. Because there are times when I take off my hat, I look at it, I'm like, I'm so ashamed. But, this is the whole point, right? Fall in love with the process. Fall in love with taking the chance and taking the risk. Because at the end of the day, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is that it fails. And you're going to fail. I've had many successes and many failures with a lot of the pages that I've done. Even the idea of being and that's the thing, they always tell you, especially I've seen the sentiment a lot on LinkedIn. By the way, yeah, if you're a teacher or professional of any kind, don't be afraid to post on LinkedIn. Post over there. They'd appreciate it. So yeah, because I'm going to start making a lot of these posts on LinkedIn too. But anyway, where was I going with this? Yeah, don't let the fear of failure stop you. Because failure is a part of the download. You understand? In the entire success journey, failure is part of the download. So whether you like it or not, failure is going to be a part of, it's going to be a part of the story. And it sounds stereotypical, right? But the truth of the matter is, you can't wait until you're qualified to do something before you start doing it. That sentiment, I've seen it so many times. You cannot wait until you're qualified, right? So if you look at, they always tell you, if you look at the job and they're like, you have to have all of these things, and you automatically you feel discouraged because you say, I'm already not from America, not from the UK, not from Canada. You're not even going to consider me for the role. But they say, no. Don't watch that. Apply anyway, right? And it's the same thing for your content. You're going to look and say, boy, I'm not this guy. I'm not Alex Hormozy. I'm not Gary V. I'm not this person. I'm not that person. But then it's like, once upon a time, they were not that guy either. Everybody had to start somewhere. Yeah, I have bloopers sometimes, right? So anyhow, yeah, that's the moral of the story, right? Yeah, just take the chance. I can't make it any more clear. Take the chance.